You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton here. And guys, I am excited with this podcast and this episode because we have a special guest on the line. We have none other than Kris Keiser with the OPEI. Kris, how you doing, brother? Good morning.
Good morning, Brian. Good to be with you.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on the podcast. A lot of folks know GIE and Expo, but not a lot of folks get to see the Army behind the scenes and get to talk to everybody who's involved because you guys wear 100 hats, you're running around 100 miles an hour, but you are one of the lead guys. You are the quarterback of the whole show, which is super exciting to have you on the line and just to, take maybe a trip down memory lane about GIE and Expo, and we're just going to talk about the history, the story that is just so awesome, which is one of the largest resources for the green industry, which is just I'm super appreciative because I'm part of this industry and I'm part of this community, and so I'm really thankful to have you on the line. Why don't you give everybody your quick stats, quick bio? Love to hear your background, your story, and we'll jump into it.
Sure, Brian. OPEI is the trade association of the power equipment industry. So we're the trade association. We're Washington, D.C. based. We represent essentially the exhibitors at Expo, all the equipment folks and the parts and accessories people. We represent their interests in Washington before EPA and the Consumer Product Safety Commission, the California Air Resources Board. We have a foundation that's TURFMUT, the TURFMUT Foundation. We do communications. We do a lot of statistics, programming, and we do forecasting for the business. But importantly, as it relates to this show, we own Expo, right? We're the managing partner with some of our landscape folks to own Expo. So we manage the show. We source or we hire firms, Sellers Expositions, to manage the on-site work. Now, this is a team effort, right? Warren and his team has managed the show for 36 years.
Wow.
This is an old show. It continues to grow. It continues to excel. So we're super excited. But again, OPI is a trade association. One of the things we do is own and manage, frankly, the folks that manage Expo. And so, again, I'm delighted to be here, delighted to talk with you, and we very much appreciate the work you're doing to help us promote the show and educate others about how valuable this thing is. This family reunion is the place you got to be if you're in this business.
Absolutely, brother. Well, we have so many things to unpack. You and I were cutting up and we were laughing before we even started the show because, like I said, I didn't even know about Expo about 4 years ago, and we were joking how, in a good way, social media has just revolutionized things, transformed things. It's brought so many folks closer together and helped to, not only keep GIE and Expo on the map but grow the whole event. And we're gonna unpackage some things. We're going to dive a little bit deeper because honestly, like, you are a huge resource, a tremendous asset to this industry and this community. We've got to know each other over the last 6 months, especially working with Warren and those guys, and everybody's just really excited about winning together. I call it. I always say we're all in this together. So let's do this. Let's hear from the show sponsors really quick and the announcements, and then we're going to dive deep.
Have you ever thought about starting your own lawn and landscaping business, but not sure where to start? Look no further than LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com, an e-training website dedicated to helping you start and grow a successful lawn care business. Save more time and make way more money by learning exactly what it takes to grow your business to the next level. Invest in your future by first investing in yourself. Use promo code PODCAST to save 10% on all training programs today at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com. Now, back to the show.
All right, Kris. So here's what we got to do before we jump into the magnanimity of Expo, right? Because last I remember you saying there was like 26 or 27,000 folks that visited Louisville, right? If you say it correctly, that this last October. So let me do this. Let me ask you, where's the show at today? But then, would you mind diving backwards and diving deep into how we even got here? Like, where did the origin of the Expo come from? Because like I said, I've been in business for 13 years. I didn't even know Expo existed until 4 years ago. which is like you said, commending the influencer community and social media to reaching out to this audience. But you guys have been around for a while, so would you mind sharing a little bit more about that story?
Sure. A long time, and a long time before I got here. So I became president of OPEI in 2011. I'm delighted to report the show has grown every year since then. But we've been around 36 years. So this show landed back in the day, 36 years ago. It was a buying show. Now you can still buy on the floor. You can still these manufacturers still have their order books, and so you can go up and actually order and buy machinery on the floor. But back in the day, before big box, before retail, before Amazon, it was a buying show, and that's how I got started. One of the reasons we landed in Louisville, Kentucky at the time, now again, this is history as I've learned it, not as I experienced it, but it's a central location east of the Mississippi where a lot of landscape businesses are, and it's a good drive-to audience. It's an easy place to get to by car, and now, frankly, it's a very easy place to get to by plane. As we've grown, we have an international audience. We have a bunch of countries, 40 countries involved, every state. Remember, it's a private show, so it's only open to the landscape contractor, dealers, distributors, the hardscape folks, people in the business. And so we had about 27,000 of those folks, again, from every state and 40 countries, come to Expo because it is the one place where you can find all of this equipment in one spot. The reason we landed in Louisville was at the back door. A lot of us have been to trade shows, right? You go into a giant building and you look at trucks or jet skis or what have you, and you're looking at them in a building. We let you look at it in a building to see it, but then we let you go out back and drive it, ride it, dig it, cut it, you name it. So you can actually experience the product hands-on. We're a hands-on kind of outfit, and that's what sets us apart. We got 20 acres outdoors. And as you now know, we've grown so much. We've sold out the North Wing and the South Wing and the East Wing. We've moved over into the big Freedom Hall, the old basketball arena for U of L. And what's important about that is one of the big challenges for landscapers today is workforce, getting people, keeping your people year round. And what are the kinds of things that landscapers can do to help people? So whether they get into the snow and ice side of things or the tree care side of things, Expo is the place where you can explore that. We have a snow and ice pavilion. But last year, what we did in response to landscapers' requests, people said, we want to learn about tree climbing, right? And tree work. Well, what we did, and only Expo can do, is we went down and we cut down a 60-foot tree in Louisville, flatbed it over to the KC and put it up. And we had in-tree training.
Wow.
In Freedom Hall. So that's the kind of thing you get at Expo, and that's one of the reasons this thing has grown year over year. Dynamic time in the business with lithium battery technology, connected products, software, you name it. So Expo is, again, the place to come and learn. And whether you're a guy with a mower and a blower, we have a lot of 1-2 person shops, or whether it's a family business, we got a lot of wives coming now and wives who run these businesses, a dealer, or your Brightview, you name it. This is the place to learn, no matter how big or how small you are.
No, I will 100% echo that because it's funny, you know, my wife and I we're no strangers to Louisville, and quite honestly, like we kind of make it a mini vacation now. Like we take the week, little plug for Louisville because they do an amazing job hosting the whole event with you guys, and they're great with managing tourism in their town and their city, and they have just so many great restaurants and food and hotels and accommodations and just fun things around town. You know, we were at one of those little old school bars where you had what's it called, where you go down the little tunnel and it's like the speakeasy, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many fun things to do while you're there because here's what I say at our industry, right? We all know as a lawn care landscaper and a contractor, we work really hard. There's usually no denying that. I think what our industry suffers from is maybe not relaxing a little bit, taking time for family, and just creating that counterbalance. And so for me, after about 6-7 months of running hard, my wife and I, we like looking at the little cherry on top at the end of the year. We take little mini vacations in between the year, of course, in the business. But we used to, the first year we went to Expo, we were in there for 3 days. We came in there for Wednesday, for the half of the day. We did all day Thursday, all day Friday, and then we ran back out the door. And I was like, man, that was exhausting. And I said, because there's just so much to do, right? But then I said, well, let's like actually take 4 or 5 days. Like if we're already going to make the commitment, we're already coming down. Let's expand it. Let's take the week. Usually it's the 3rd or 4th week of October when the event is. So up here in Michigan in the Midwest, the grass is usually slowing down. It takes a little bit of time to communicate to our clients that we're not going to be there this week, right? But we take a vacation. We make a vacation out of it. And the show, now, was it always 3 days or has things just expanded? Because like you said, I know that the last 5 or 6 years, like you were just saying, that things have been growing like crazy. How did you guys experience so much growth in the last 5 or 6 years? Like what's your perspective on why the industry is growing so fast right now?
I think we're just really listening to our dealers, distributors, and landscape partners. Is what are the kinds of things you need to know, need to see? And make sure that those exhibitors are providing that product, providing that input, providing those opportunities. Plus, it's a dynamic time in the business with the advent of lithium-ion technology, the battery product, the battery electric product that's flooding the marketplace. Mm-hmm. Plus, a bunch of engine technology stuff. You've got a lot of electronic, fuel-injected products, connected products. So there's a lot of new product offerings out there. There's shifts in the marketplace. There are other dynamics, software, again, connected products. Better understanding these kinds of things. This is what makes you competitive. This is how you stay ahead. Mm-hmm. The nice thing about the outdoor power equipment industry, there's a price point and a product for everybody. So whether it's battery, electric, diesel, propane, gasoline hybrid, diesel hybrid, it's there, right? That product is there. And so it's the best place to come and better understand the dynamic. And again, what we try to do, and we've done, UTVs came along, and so a lot of dealers are selling UTVs. A lot of landscape companies use those, and so now we have a big UTV component. We have a big truck component. We're putting in a UTV track for next year. This snow and ice business. So a lot of folks are into snow and ice, so we have a snow and ice pavilion. The tree bits that I mentioned earlier, folks are wanting to learn about tree work, mm-hmm. arbor work, etc. for the landscaper. We co-located with Hardscape a few years ago. That's a nice synergistic fit for us. The Hardscape North America Trade Show, mm-hmm. that fits nicely into the North Wing. And so we've now co-locate with sort of a sister show, which has a lot of synergy. So those are the kinds of things that have just, and the programmatic elements, whether it's Bob Clements or the NALP session or the professional grounds care sessions, we want to make sure that we have the kind of education and training available. And I mentioned drone training. We have Indiana State University, which is one of the very few universities in the country that offers a drone college degree. Well, you can come to Expo this year and get a flying certificate at Expo because the university is coming in to put on that program. So these are the kinds of things we do year over year over year. We try to stay new, have something fresh, something of value to the landscape contractor so that we continue to develop that audience. I'm delighted to hear that I wish you had known more than 4 years ago. But
me too.
We have to do a better job of reaching the contractors that are out there.
Right.
And so the work you're doing, I could not be happier that you and the influencers. A few years ago when the first influencers showed up, we had a handful of people. Now you guys fill the mega caverns. You have these great social events. Hey, you talked a minute about enjoying Louisville. Louisville is a real gem. Look, I went to law school there. A lot of times I worked for a politician there.
Yeah.
I love Louisville. My friends are there, and it's just a gem. So there's plenty to do. We also have some. Look, you've said it. We work hard. You work hard. Landscapers work hard, and so we want to create social opportunities. We have 3 nights of concerts out on the open venue, 4th Street Live. Lots of exhibitors and manufacturers have venue opportunities there. So we try to create a social environment as well, mm-hmm. an opportunity, whether it's, again, Bob Clements' training or Sarah's training. There's plenty of opportunity to interact with other landscapers because peer-to-peer is where you learn.
Well, yeah. I mean, my gosh, like you said, when we were hanging out on 4th Street Live on, what was it, Tuesday night and Wednesday night, and, you're just literally just hanging out. If you've never been to 4th Street in Louisville, it's just an amazing, it's like a city street, like something you see like right out of like New York or Manhattan, right? And the whole thing is enclosed, structured glass, neon lights everywhere, a big center stage. You're literally like, this is an outdoor venue and concert. And wow, you're listening to just amazing guest rock and roll folks that come in that you guys host, and other companies sponsor and bring it in. And while you guys are all hanging out there, after Tuesday night or after the long day Wednesday, or the half day Wednesday that gets out at 6 or 7, you're rubbing shoulders with such a variety of people. It's crazy. Like, you can literally be on 4th Street Live, hanging out with another contractor friend, and you bumped into each other. You're eating some chicken wings, and you're like, "Where are you from?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm from Michigan. I'm 30 minutes away." And you're like, "What?" Like, we had to drive to Louisville to know that we're in the same town. And then literally you rub shoulders on the other side of you, and it's Ed Wright, the CEO of Wright Manufacturing, right? And you're like, "Oh my God!" So I always say it's such an interesting dynamic there, that you can hang out with your friends, your peers. You can make friends. There's friends that I don't get to see but once a year, and we see each other at Expo and all the circumventing events, right? Which is just awesome. And then you get the access to, like you said, there's the president of Brylar or Brightview, right? There's the president of this company, and all the dealers, right? We see the Weingarts family a lot when we're down there. It's just it's a really, really, really cool time. Now, I think the crazy thing to me is that how many folks did not know that it even existed. Like, one of my friends, Mike Bedell, he's a regular face on my YouTube channel and on the podcast, really good guy. And he said he's known about Expo. He said he's known for 7, 8, 9 years. He's been in business for a decade. And it's not like he didn't know that the show existed or that it would be awesome, but he also says in his own story, like, he didn't know what he didn't know. And he's like, "Well, I go to my local dealer. Like, I go to my dealer open house." And he goes, I thought like that was me participating in the industry, in the event. And Mike's really, really well respected, but he went to his first expo, go figure, 2 years ago because of yours truly. And I was like, dude, it's like a concert. It's like unlike anything you've ever seen. There's I've heard like a stat, and I might be elaborating and hyping it up a little bit, but somebody told me, like, even if you spent 5 minutes at each booth, you couldn't see the whole show. I mean, can you share like what separates this from like your local dealer open house to going to Expo? Yeah, there's everybody,
sure.
There's everybody there, but you got to dive into that one because there's so much meat there.
Well, that's one of the nice things about my job, right? I represent, I've got 100 equipment companies here. So the thing
Sure.
about your dealer, look, we love your dealer, but she's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 brands, right? And a limited number, or, they're not going to have the entire line of that company's product. So there's 1,000 exhibitors at Expo.
Wow.
We've got 1 million square feet. So there's a lot of product there, right? And so whether it's Toro or Deere or Aaron's or Briggs, you name it. Ed Wright, you mentioned Ed's there, Hustler's there. And you mentioned the CEO, Ed Wright, Wright's a Wright Manufacturing, a member here. A significant booth at Expo, but this is where they take their pride and joy. They take their product lines. They let you enjoy them. They let you ride them. They let you drive them. They let you cut with them indoors and out. So again, your dealer, you can see a handful of products. You can see a couple of brands, but you can't see all of the brands. At Expo, you name it, we got it. So if you're a manufacturer in the United States, or frankly around the world, we've got a bunch of Japanese companies and Chinese companies and European companies. They're there. They're there in force, and they're the folks so they've got the engineers and the salespeople, and you mentioned the CEOs. I have a board of directors meeting there. All of my CEOs go to Expo. And so whether it's Dan Aarons or Todd Teskey or Rick Olson, CEO of Toro, they're all there. Because this is how important this is. And like you said, shoulder to shoulder, there they are in their booth. And so that's what's unique about Expo is all of the manufacturers, all of those competing products, and they are competitors, right?
Sure.
But my association is an association of competitors. Now, they put aside their competitive spirit at an association to work together to solve common problems, whether that's a challenge to the landscape, that's why we have the Turf Mud Foundation, or it's a challenge in Congress or a challenge in the court. They do work together, and that's kind of what Expo does. These people all work together. They exhibit together. They showcase together. As you've described on 4th Street Live, we party together. We have a good time. We set aside those competitive differences because these people are very competent in their product and believing they can compete. Remember, just like your first year, you might have seen one or two robots, right? Autonomous products.
Yep.
How many did you see? There are robots there the size of an Audi, right? the big sports thing.
Yep.
And there you're seeing the development and evolution of the product. So it kind of debuts. OPEI released last year the first ever ANSI safety standard for robotic product in the United States. That's an ANSI OPEI standard, first ever. And now you're seeing the explosion of autonomous products, robotic product, remote controlled products at Expo. So that's what you won't see at a dealer. You've got to see it all.
Well, and that's the cool thing. Like, if you're always like, well, there's so much stuff to keep up on. There's so much going on in my industry. There's so many new mowers. There's so much new technology. Like, even the best folks that do YouTube, right? We can't bring you every single thing. And I always look at things that can accelerate my business, right? I look at time management and productivity. And it's like, if you want to, don't look at Expo as an expense where you're like, hey, there's no way I can take 3 days off from my business. I'll be honest with you. I look at things the exact same way. I'm a businessman. I'm a business owner. My time is valuable. My time's important. But here's what I had to come to realize 3-4 years ago, that if this event can condense, the lay of the land for me with learning more about my industry, like you said with the training, learning more about equipment by all the demos, being able to test equipment, in October, November, where I can already kind of have my mind made up about what I want to buy the following season in February, March, April, and not have to wait for my dealer open house until March, April, May, like we have to do in the Midwest. What this actually is an amazing investment that can save you so much time and energy. And so to kind of piggyback, like this is a non-negotiable in our calendar. I mean, yes, we make a vacation out of it. Yes, we have fun with it for my family. But to be totally honest with you, this is something that helps me not only be a better business owner, but it puts me ahead of my competition that doesn't go. It puts me ahead of my peers in the industry that don't go. It allows me to service my clients at such a higher level, like you were saying, because I get to go and see what's the latest and greatest in our industry, and I can bring that back to my clients. We can incorporate certain robotic technology and battery related equipment, and that way I always know that I'm on the tip of the spear with the industry as we grow and evolve our company. So I think you hit the nail on the head with that. There's
Brian. Let me add to that. Mm-hmm. You said you can't afford to miss Expo, because let me tell you, your competitors are in there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big things now is you saying staying competitive, the software offerings in the business, right? I remember talking to a landscape company who was just having a software company come in to promote their product, blah, blah, and he was talking about, wow, we're looking at one or two softwares. I have 36 software companies at Expo.
Wow.
So if you want to better understand and compare those products, Expo has its own magazine now, Equip, which has come out. We have Expo for the 1-day traveler, the 2-day traveler, the 3-day traveler. You're doing it right. You're doing it the smart way. You need 3 days. That's just a lot of ground to cover. You need comfortable shoes and a jacket. It's a lot of ground to cover.
Amen.
So, but there is a way to do it. Even if it's a 1-day trip or 2-day trip. Remember, this is a business trip. Write it off.
Mm-hmm.
But to enjoy Expo, take the time. If you're going to take the time to come, spend the time to see all of the show.
Amen. Well, let's do this. There's a whole lot more to Expo. We covered the equipment. We've covered the there's some training aspects, but there's a lot of pet projects. There's a lot of other things that are going on. We're gonna hear from the show announcements here again and take a quick break. But I want to, if you're open to it, I want to dive deeper into the Hardscapes North America thing that you guys added, because I think that's a tremendous asset. Madness with the adoption, because making money is cool. I always say, like, more money is better than less money. So more problems, but there's a lot of people in our industry that are givers. There's a lot of generous people, and you guys have a new program with the Mud Madness that is near and dear to us, because we're softies, we're dog lovers ourselves. We got a little furry friend, which is cool. So there's so many more things that I want to keep unpacking while I got you here, because I know your time is really valuable. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break, hear from the announcements, and then we're going to dive right back into things.
Enjoying today's show? Motivated to take your lawn care and landscaping business to the next level? Learn what it takes to grow your lawn and landscaping business today with training and education from the Lawntrepreneur Academy. Get educated with how-tos on mulch installation, plowing snow, aeration and overseeding, and so much more. These training programs are designed to help you save time and make more money with your business. Invest in your future by first investing in yourself. Use promo code PODCAST to save 10% on all courses today at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com. Now, back to the show.
All right, Kris. So you've got to help me out here, because I know one thing that we've talked about was before we hit the record button was the Mutt Madness, and that's been another tremendous asset and just a really cool thing. I mean, it's not for optics. I know you guys really do care about the Louisville area, and there's so much good stuff going on. Can you explain a little bit more about the Mutt Madness, and then maybe as we transition into the North America Hardscapes North America show that you guys have going on, because there is something for everybody.
Well, it's near and dear to my heart. Dog rescue and adoption is something that is just important to me personally, right? Literally laying under my feet as we speak is a new rescue, Mutt Mulligan. Mulligan's laying at my feet as we speak. She is from Expo. She was adopted this past year at Expo. Now, what happened, back in 2008, I think, we created a program called Turf Mutt. When somebody at EPA, in an effort to save water, said, "Hey, we should eliminate landscapes. We should get rid of landscapes. Landscapes don't do anything. They're not purposeful. They use water, they use pesticides. We got to get rid of them." That's ass backwards. Landscapes are incredibly valuable. The heat island effect, water retention, dust and particulate matter capture of carbon. I go on. But our landscapes, nature starts at your back door. Urban habitat, if you will. We created a little program called Turf Mutt. It's a cartoon. To teach kids about the value of outdoors, becoming responsible stewards. 70 million kids have used Turf Mutt.
Wow.
Kids, teachers, and families. It has grown and grown and grown. It's a learning lab partner of the United States Green Building Council. U.S. Forest Service uses it. EPA uses it. We're in schools with Scholastic, the world's largest curriculum developer. Our little program at OPEI, Turf Mutt, is grown into a global powerhouse. Now, the reason Turf Mutt works, Turf Mutt is a cartoon character. It's a superhero, battles bad guys, heat trees, carbon creep, dust demon, Dr. Runoff. But what made it sticky for kids was behind that cartoon character was a real dog, a real rescue dog. Like Superman has Clark Kent, Spider-Man has Peter Parker. Well, Turf Mutt had Lucky. Lucky was a rescue dog, a real dog, and he was my dog.
Oh, okay.
And he was the kid. He went to schools that won the contest. He was on 2 television shows, Ready, Set, Pet, and Lucky Dog. He did Animal Planet, Public Service Announcement. I go on and on. But it was a real dog, made it sticky, and that became Turf Mutt. So what happened at Expo? So we had this program called Turf Mutt. We now have called the Turf Mutt Foundation at OPEI, because we help educate kids through schools. But Expo had grown and grown and grown. So Warren Sellers came to me and said, "Geez, we're going to have to move our food trucks into Freedom Hall for some of the time, because we've sold out the South Wing and the North Wing. We're displacing our food vendors. How are we going to get people into Freedom Hall?" And I said, "I know how. We're going to add dogs." We love dogs. We love our yards. We're the people that give families the dogs. Look, kids want a house with a yard because kids want a house with a dog.
Oh yeah.
And so we partner. I have a relationship with the Kentucky Humane Society. We have a long relationship with Louisville, and I said, "We want to partner with you. Bring in some adoptable dogs. We've got 20,000 folks coming to our show. We think we can get some dogs adopted." If you were there, you saw that it was a roaring success. Our people stepped up. We adopted a bunch of dogs. We had thousands of people come down. It grew last year, and we're doing it again. And so part now of Expo, we do it during lunch on Thursday in Freedom Hall. We set up that area for Lucky's Mutt Madness, my board named it after Turf Mutt, Lucky the Turf Mutt, who just recently passed. And that's why we now have Mutt Mulligan. She's the new voice of Turf Mutt. She's laying here under my feet. But you can actually adopt a dog at Expo and take him or her home. Wow. So it's one more reason. It's one more way families and kids and wives connect. I talked to a landscaper last year. He says, "I came here to buy mowers. My wife came with me for the first time ever because she wanted to look at dogs, and guess what we got? We got a dog."
That's awesome.
So it's working.
No, it is so funny. It's so you sometimes people are like, what you can get a dog on the way out, like you can rescue a dog because correct me if I'm wrong, but like you can adopt a little dude Wednesday or Thursday, right? And then you don't even have to take him home till like Friday afternoon, so it doesn't necessarily have to like impede your experience at the show. But if rescuing a dog is like close to you, my friend Mike Bedell, he does a lot with a local not charity, I don't know what you call it, organization called Detroit Dog Rescue, and he's a big believer in that because he's got a rescue. So is that true? Can you still do that on Thursday and then take the little guy home on Friday? Is that something that you guys still work out?
Absolutely. The
Awesome.
Kentucky Humane Society is great about that, working with us, and they have a big facility, less than a mile. It's right around the corner from
cool.
the KEC. So yeah, what you do, you sign them up, you do the paperwork, they'll hold on to the pup, and we got them all ages.
Wow.
The puppies, the seniors, the three-legged, and Calvin got adopted, our three-legged dog from last year.
Sure.
So yeah, you can. The Kentucky Humane Society will hang on to them. You can pick them up, or they can bring them to you. So no, they really do work with, in particular, the drive-in attendee who can take a dog. Although we had 2 people last year that got pups, bought the carriers, and flew them home.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. It's funny. My wife and I, I'm being honest with you, Kris. Every time we go, I have to tell my wife we're not getting a dog. We're not getting a dog yet because we have a townhome like rental, if you will, and unfortunately we just don't have the space. We have one little guy so far. But I told my wife, I said, hey, when we get a property and we get it fenced in, we're gonna have a little herd of dogs. So I said number 2, 3, and 4. Because we're crazy, they might end up actually coming from Expo and the rescue, which is going to be just really, really cool. So, well, let me ask you this, because there's so many things going on at Expo, and I'm just trying to dance on a little bit of everything here because it sounds kind of cliche, but there really is something for everybody. I think something that has just drawn so much attention and eyeballs and foot traffic for me is the two parts. One, I love seeing all the innovative new companies and startups and a little bit more niche products or services or businesses, right? Those guys are truly like grassroots. I mean, yeah, you got, like you said, you got the big names, you got the Toros, the Aarons, and all that, and that's awesome. I mean, I love seeing their booths as much as I see anybody else's booths. But something that really always piques my interest is taking a stroll down the hardscaping. I'm not sure if that's like the North Wing or whatever, like you said. But it's the hardscaping side of the whole trade show, and then the innovative newer companies that have the smaller booths, the Isotunes, the Cujo Yardwares, the Leaf Burrito guys, right? Can you explain, like, what side of the expo I'm talking about, right?
You bet, sure.
Can you unpackage all that? Because there's that, to me, I love going outdoors, but then I love running back in and going to that I think it's the North Wing. Is that where that's all at?
Yeah, the South Wing is where most of the equipment is, right?
Mm-hmm.
The South Wing. And then you transition through the East Wing, and that's where you get a lot of suppliers and parts folks and specialty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then on the back end of the North Wing, again, you've got an expansion, some snow and ice is in there. And then the one area of the North Wing is hardscape.
Mm-hmm.
And as you've been there, right? So it's Belgard and the giant hardscape folks. You've seen extraordinary exhibits. They build outdoor rooms, they build outdoor kitchens, they've got outdoor pizza ovens and fireplaces.
Oh yeah.
And that's what a lot of landscapers are now getting into, right? Is the outdoor space and the hardscape space, the big money, revenue for a lot of companies. And so it was a natural fit for us. And so when Hardscape North America was looking for a new home, they decided to co-locate with us in a test, and it was just a win-win. It was a win for them, a win for us. And so then all the vendors that sort of service that side of the industry also came along. Look, if you're trenching, and then with like irrigation. So we were trenching for lights, right, for hardscape. So now guys who trench for lights, trench for irrigation. So we got a bunch of irrigation stuff now, irrigation training.
Mm-hmm.
We're just trying to address what landscapers want to do and explore so that they can take their business to the next level. And so we have hardscape, trees, irrigation, Christmas lights. A lot of landscapers now put up and take down Christmas lights.
Yeah.
So
We have a friend nearby that did 6 figures in Christmas lights in November and December. I went, what are you talking about? And gross, but I was unbelievable.
So, that's the key to Expo. And so if you're just getting into this business and you want to be an exhibitor, hell, you can rent a 10 by 10, a 10 by 20, an 80 by 80, you name it.
Wow.
Right? You can have a giant booth or a 10 by 10. So if you're just a starter and you're just and that's the nice thing about Expo, again, with 1,000 exhibitors, we have people brand new into the space, brand new products, and it's an international show now. And so you get folks from all over the world coming there.
Wow, for real. I mean, to be totally honest with you, that whole you guys, I think it was just a match made in heaven, if you will. It was meant to be, because I always tell folks, like, I run a maintenance business. I do a lot of lawn maintenance. We do some really landscaping, right? We do mulch, and we'll do flowers. We'll do simple stuff. My company isn't a huge hardscaping and design build firm, right? But that being said, how cool is it where you can, on one end of the spectrum, you can go see all the newest mowers and stand-on mowers and zero-turn mowers and, like you said, auto mowers and all that fun stuff. And then you're like, hey, by the way, we want to look at XYZ company for brick pavers and patios and stamped concrete and sprinklers and, like you said, trenching machines. And I think I saw like a one of those like spider-looking cherry picking machines that can help you get up in the trees. And I was like, that thing's like $200,000. What is that doing here? Like, it's just crazy. Like, if you don't, like you said earlier, like your local dealer, they serve a very important role. But the breadth of what you get to see is literally everything that you ever see in a magazine, arguably, from your favorite brand is all there on display, which I just think is awesome. Well, I want to talk about, if you get a quick second here, I want to transition to the outdoor demo, because I think to reiterate something you said earlier was, yes, everybody has a showroom floor, right? From the small town dealer that's got 4 units on the floor, which is awesome, to the little bit larger dealer, like I get access to the Weingarts, dealerships up here in Michigan. It's like a little mini mall, which is just crazy. You get the Russos out west in Illinois. But let's talk about the Outdoor Expo, because I think something that separates your guys' show from anything else I've ever been to is, what did you say, 20 acres of outdoor demo area?
Yeah, we now sell some asphalt. We sold out of all the grass.
Oh my God.
We got a little over 20 acres of grass. We had a little bit of asphalt around that space, so we sold that. We sold all it out. And we've now sold, the thing about being outdoors with all our equipment, Hardscape. So Hardscape came in. They had a successful show. We want to be outside. So now we have Hardscape House, which we debuted last year. Outside, it's a covered space between the horse barns. And so they're doing a lot of stone cutting and laying and demonstrations with that product outdoors. They're just like us now. So if you want to demo hardscape, demo a mower, demo a trencher, we got it.
Wow. I didn't even know that existed. like go figure. I mean, I go to the show and like you said, I literally make an itinerary. I make a map. I'm like, all right, we need to go here and see these people. We need to spend 20 minutes here. Then I want to go see this booth. I'm a big Xmark guy. I want to go see this company. Then I want to go see, I literally see all the companies. One, just because I'm a product nerd. I love seeing, product. And then we have a lot of relationships because of YouTube and all that mess. But and there's so many good people like I'm friends with. I wouldn't say thousands, hundreds of these folks, and it's such a good time. But there's still things going on in the show that I don't even know, and I can't even get to, because it's, like I said, you have to, in a good way, like, be intentional. You have to kind of create a roadmap with what you got going on. But one thing that is always on our calendar is usually I take the whole day of Friday and I try to get outdoors, because Wednesday and Thursday a lot of the big stuff is going on. The new reveals, the new products, right? It's like opening day at like the Detroit Auto Show, right? Everybody wants to be their opening day, which is fine. And it doesn't diminish anything, from Thursday or Friday, obviously. But for me, I love going outside all day Friday. I just 9 a.m., boom, we're outdoors. And, like you said, you can explain a little bit more of the lay of the land, but you can see anything from riding ATVs and side-by-sides, UTVs, to jumping on a multi-one America, front end loader and or mini loader, and literally digging a 10-foot hole in the ground, right? Can you give people like an imagination or some imagery of what's out there? So if you want to get your feet dirty and your hands dirty, it is definitely a time to play. Like, you can literally go play. I think usually all you need is a license and 18 to get out there.
Yeah. Yep. Well, 16. I mean, it depends on the manufacturer. But
Sure.
That's about it. So many guys, especially the up-and-comers of the world, they may have a couple of zeros or a handful of zeros, some walks, but they're looking at that stand-on, ride-on, or the mid-mount, or the such-and-such steer, and like, wow, this is a significant investment. Do we want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is the place to come. So all of that diversified product, because there's all different kinds. Certainly the ride-on, stand-on stuff is something you don't see everywhere. It's a significant price point. Does it make sense for you? Is it comfortable to use? A lot of people bring their crew chiefs and their engineers and some of their workers. How does this feel? How does this ride? What kind of cut do I get on this? Now, that outdoor area, just a quick aside, is those 20 acres were pretty important to the Kentucky Exposition Center. Historically, they would use that throughout the year. They'd park it, and now we'd seed it, green it up to get some grass on it, get some plants on it, but we never really had enough time to do it right the way we wanted to. But we've convinced the Kentucky Exposition Center that is valuable as outdoor space. We're going to create Turf Mud Park out there, and that's going to be green year-round. We're going to continue to make improvements in that space. But that's real world, like you said, you can dig a hole. You can dig a post hole. Now, I watched, a friend of mine was on a UTV last year. I watched him come out, and I said, how was that? He says, that was great. It was a brand new product. He says, that's fantastic. We use this kind of thing. But he says, I really couldn't get it to speed. I couldn't, didn't have enough space.
Sure.
And I said, it's huge there. And I said, what do you need? He said, well, we need a track. Well, all right, we're going to give you a track. So we're now working with some UTV manufacturers, and we're going to give you a big-ass track. Sorry, I shouldn't swear on your show.
No, you're good. It's unfiltered, right?
You can, gives you enough space where you can get it to speed. Now, we're not going to let you do J-turns at speed, but we're going to let you get through those horse barns. There's a bunch of horse barns there adjacent to the outdoor area where you can do some turns and sort of things. So we're going to create a UTV track.
Wow.
So if you want to experience a UTV in a meaningful way, we'll have a track for you.
Wow.
So again, our ears are open. I'm delighted to talk to you. I go out there. I'm out there getting dirty, getting wet with anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
And tell me what you need, what you want. How can you learn? What can we do better? What can we do? And by golly, we'll try to do it.
You know what's funny? Just to give you guys kudos, not that you need it, because the reception has been incredible. I've talked to a lot of people. I get a lot of data points, and everybody is always like, Expo is amazing, Expo is fun. You guys really do. You guys, I talk to so many companies in the most unpretentious way, and the one thing that I always say is, man, I can tell you the companies that are listening, the companies that don't. I can tell you who's listening, who's not. I can tell you who's open to feedback and doesn't have an ego and is a big team player, and who's not. And one thing that I will hands down, I can't say enough good words about is working with Warren and yourself. Every time that, from little old me, Brian's Law Maintenance, to I'm sure the president of Toro has provided you guys feedback, and you guys listen. And for example, like having a larger track out there, that's incredible. I know you guys made a significant investment into parking last year. We didn't have to pay parking. I mean,
because I got cornered. God's truth. I got cornered by 3 or 4 folks that were like, they now know who I am.
Yeah,
and they're like, hey. We sat for X amount of time at that front gate because nowadays people weren't using cash and they were having to process it electronically. Everybody was 2 minutes plus to get through that main gate. It was crazy. It was wrong.
Yeah.
And so they were like, we're spending all this time out there. Could you fix that? So we went to the Kentucky Exposition Center and we said, we'll buy you out. We'll buy that parking. Because that was, that's where they made money. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. And so we finally said, we'll buy you out. And you're right. That was a huge, huge number to buy all that parking, but now you can zoom through those gates. Now we got to get you out as easy as we get you in. But we do listen, and we want to make that a better experience. It was like hardscape. They used to be under a tent. Again, they came to us and they said, well, with this, and this kind of product, and this is heavy, and if it gets wet, and we said, okay, we're going to move you to this giant pole barn. called a hardscape house last year, so it's in those horse barns areas. But we got to do a better job of directing people, and they love it.
Wow.
Again, we'll listen to you. But you need to tell us. I mean, I was at that concert, one of those nights. People are getting to know me, and we had to step off to find a quiet place. But we want to hear from our attendees. Again, this is a family reunion. We love the folks that come. We want it so you come every year. Again, in Quip Magazine there's a guy that comes from Guam, big dealer distributor in Guam. And
wow.
I talked to him. I said, how? He says, look, I got to come every year. I rotate my crews and people every year. He says, we're the only big dealer distributor on the island. And so there's only one place to see it all.
Wow.
And he goes, it's not in China. It's not in Germany. It's in Louisville, Kentucky. So we make that investment. And he got an article in Equip. Because he comes the farthest. I think he flies, 11,000 miles.
I got to reiterate that, because I mean, imagine this. Like, here's two things you just said that I can unpackage and I can literally just draw a parallel from. Number one, what's interesting? You're making these investments, and I know my ticket price has not went up. I mean, and if it has, it's barely went up. So the amount of investment that you guys are putting back into the show, I noticed that. I think other folks notice that, and. Not that you guys need attaboys, but I mean, honestly, like, that's really, really cool. It's good for the Toros. It's good for the Weingarts. It's good for those folks. But who we're trying to reach to impact? It's the newest guy that's coming into the industry, that's looking to go from the weekend warrior guy, or just, needed a career change, whether it's by design or, by necessity. And he's getting into the lawn and landscape industry and the green industry. And, he needs to make sure that this show is accessible. And I think you guys are doing a tremendous job facilitating that by making it approachable, making it a nominally priced investment. I mean, a couple $100, you get a cheap hotel, and you can enjoy the whole show. By the way,
and Louisville is not an expensive town, right? And once you get there, we'll take care of you. Literally, Expo's across the street from the airport. Downtown, all you got to do is get there. We'll shuttle you to and from the hotel.
Yeah, the shuttles.
We'll get you to the airport. So once you get there, Louisville's one of those easy towns. Look, you were kind enough to give a shout-out to Warren, my brother. Warren Sellers of Sellers Expositions. The Sellers family, Warren and his wife and brother, it's a family business. It's a family enterprise. They've had this show since day one. They work for OPEI in managing that show, and they're the reason it has grown and excelled and become what it has. So I'm delighted. Thank you for shouting out Warren.
Oh,
who,
yeah.
like you said, he's a guy, as is his wife and his brother and his employees who've been there 15, 20 years. They know that show, and they're out there living it. Brian, my God, the Corbett's, Brian, they're outdoors, right? Richard Corbett, he's the guy outside in the cold, in the rain, in the sun, you name it, making it right for people out there. So that organization has helped us take this to the level where it is today.
Wow, that's. I mean, like you said, it's a team effort. I mean, a show this size, it has to be at this point, right? And I'm just impressed with it. Well, here if you get last 10 minutes, I want to wrap this thing up with. I want to hear your perspective on the reason why we're doing this podcast. We're engaging in social media. You said your own words that a lot of the growth has become has stemmed from the younger crowd, from maybe 13 to 25, maybe even 30 years old. Traditionally, you guys have said that maybe you haven't reached that audience as much or as well or as effectively, and so. I mean, for crying out loud, you're on the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. I don't think folks really understand like who you are, like how I don't want to say like how important you are, but honestly, like you are a tremendous asset, and I don't take your time for granted. Your folks reached out to me and said, "Hey, Kris wants to make himself available." And at first I thought this was just going to go to my spam folder. I was like, why is the OPEI messaging me? I thought I was in trouble, to be honest with you. So I said, was I carrying my camera somewhere where I shouldn't have been, last expo, and they finally recorded or watched the tapes. So I was laughing, and you and I were emailing back and forth, having this conversation, and you're like, no, I want to share a little bit more about expo and our time with a social media influencer. And I'll be honest with you, I don't take that. I don't dub myself with that title. I actually try to not use that title because I'm just a regular guy. I'm you know, you get to know. I always tell people, the more you get to know me, probably the less impressed you're going to be, because I'm just a regular dude, right? And I've made my mistakes, and I put my pants on one leg at a time too. But you guys have seen such an amazing opportunity with social media. There's influencer events, there's influencer meetups, there's so much going on with younger folks attending the show. Like, for example, and I'll toss this over to you, but this last two shows, I had a couple different 13, 14-year-old kids that came to the show specifically to see, you know, Brian's Law Maintenance. That their parents gifted them a trip to Louisville and Expo to go see this huge lawn care show, you know, because they cut 7 lawns back at home with their little push mower, and they wanted to see, quote unquote, their hero, if you will, which I just think is really, really special, really, really cool that we can be a role model for the younger people. But then they come to the show and they're 13, and you know, I get to meet them up at the Xmark booth, and when I do a meet and greet for an hour, and they're just so excited and kind of like awkward because they're 13, right? And they're like, they don't know they don't know what to say or do because they're like meeting like this famous person, but we're just regular people. But we all have a role, and I just think it's so special. So can you elaborate for the last 5-10 minutes here while I got you about what you've seen, what is working, where you guys see things going? Because I think it's super special how we're all working together.
Well, what you guys have demonstrated is the exceptional reach and value of your platforms, your communicative platforms. You talk to a 20-year-old differently than a 30-year-old, differently than a 40-year-old, differently than a 50-year-old. That's the unique dynamic now of platform communication. Look, I'm an old fart. I don't know the first thing about talking to, you know, the 20-year-old. But I know folks who do. And I was struck dumb a few years back when sort of the first influencer came on scene, and we were like, what? Who are you? But hey, that influencer was pro Expo. So we were like, what can we do to help? Right. So, and last year you saw the giant lounge we created up in the North Wing for influencers. We have meetings that we'll give you we're happy to help with the mega caverns. We'll do whatever, because look, we see the value in the way you're communicating real world experience to real world people in a meaningful way about your business, about developing your business. A lot of those 13 and 14-year-olds with a push mower are going to become multimillionaires.
I agree. Right? I agree.
That happens a lot in this business. And that's why we want Expo to be for the starters, for those 14, 15-year-old kids. The first, I met a kid who just was buying his first zero turn ever. And he was trying to figure out which one he wanted and this, that, and the other. And it was just delightful. And he's done really well. And so that's, again, Brian, I'm happy to talk to you because you're reaching an audience that we haven't been able to. The landscape community is huge, 90, 100,000 companies, 1 million people. But how do we as Expo communicate to them? Is it, because, you know, not everybody reads a magazine. Not everybody sees it for sure. Not everybody opens an email. And so this is just one more way, one more communications platform to get the word out. People should not miss Expo. And again, you can write this off as a business expense. So if you're a mow and blow guy, or you've got $100 million operation, there's something to learn at Expo, and we want to get that message out. So you're helping us do that. So whatever I can do to help you, I'm all yours.
No, like I said, just to reiterate, I'm super appreciative because I don't take it for granted when I have a guest on the show, because you guys are sacrificing your time. But quite honestly, like, to have somebody of your stature on the show, I very much respect your time, and it's crazy because I know the Louisville Mega Caverns is a usually large rally and meetup, and I know you've been to that. I know Warren's been to that, and I was talking to Warren once, and he was like walking around. He didn't, like, nobody even knew who he was 2 or 3 years ago. He's walking around. There's 250 people there, and then I think the following year there's 400 people there. That's an event that's hosted by Naylor Taliaferro, and it's just a really good time. He does a class act when he's putting that together. And nobody knew respectfully who Warren was in my age group. The whole cavern's full of like 13 to 30-year-olds, right? And there, of course, there's older folks. It's come one, come all. But Warren's walking around and there's 300, 400 people there, and nobody like really bumped into him. So he was like, I'm like, oh, like, how did you feel about that? Like, were you kind of like mad that nobody knew who he was? He goes, honestly, it was a breath of fresh air. Like, it was nice to just kind of like be one of the guys and nobody knew. And then so-and-so started introducing me to him and a couple other folks. And then I think his cover was blown, So, but no, here's the cool thing is that we've actually been able to partner, myself with you and Expo and Warren. Like, we had an affiliate link that was available this summer. I'm sure we'll have another one for this summer. And I always tell folks, like, the affiliate links, it's not about, making money necessarily. It's a really good way to like track things. And I know about 400 people ended up using our affiliate link to get tickets. And so when you have, imagine the breadth of Expo being 27,000 people, well, I can't say that it was just because of us that contributed to getting folks there. But when 400 or 500 people, use our link and, hear about it from our email or our YouTube or our Instagram or now the podcast, that means a lot for me when folks support us with that link, because it opens up doors for me to have conversations with folks like you. And like I said, everything just kind of recycles. Everything is self-perpetuates, which is just beautiful. So I also appreciate you taking the time to jump on our social media and our podcast and to get to share a little bit more of your guys' story.
I appreciate that, and we're happy to do it anytime. Now, remember, we talk about 27,000. It sounds like a big number. In our world, it's not. The nice thing about Expo, that's a million. We have 1 million square feet, 20 acres outdoors. It's not crowded. I mean, look, there's a lot of people there, right?
Sure.
You may have to sit down and get a sandwich or a dog for a minute. But it's a big place. It's easy, again, we have, like you said, we've got shuttles from the hotels. You can drive in. There's plenty of parking. But it's a big venue. So there's we accommodate folks. We feed folks. If you need a dog, we got a dog for you. We got 15 adopted last year, by the way.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
It's that kind of place. So, and like you said, it's free to park. You can get through those gates now without that drama.
Well, amen. Well, it's just funny because, I'm out there at Expo on the outdoor asphalt pavement area. Like you said, I'm talking to Nick Carlson with Mulchmate, which I know they're a new vendor or exhibitor to the show, right, the last 2-3 years. I'm actually, funny story. I was in line, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday morning, and I took the camera, my camera, and I was vlogging the experience. And we're all waiting to like bust in the doors at 9 a.m. It looks like a rock concert, right? There's 300 people in line. It was just It was awesome. And I go, man, this is a really good time. And like I look left, and like literally right next to me was Dan Roche with Ferris and like the Briggs and Stratton folks. And he's he's a VP. He's a very important. He's a really nice guy, super down to earth. And I just look left, and I'm like, don't you have like a backdoor access, like a VIP? He goes, no way. He goes, no way, brother. I'm one of you. He goes, I walk in the show the exact same way. And I said, oh my God, that is too funny. And so literally, it is such a good time because here's the cool thing. Here's what I always try to communicate to folks, is that everybody is so approachable. I mean, this guy's a vice president of this company. That's the CEO of this company. All the way down to the regular guys like me who get to come there, that just own a small owner operator business, or maybe you got 2-3 crews like you were just alluding to. And so it is a lot of fun. Why don't we do this? If you want to wrap up with any final thoughts, do you happen to know the dates? Do you when's the show coming up here this 2020? And then anything else that you want to share, and we can sign off with this one because this is a really good time.
Third week October, I think it's 17, 18, 19. It's in there somewhere. It's that third week. We're always usually the week before Halloween.
Okay,
hey, Louisville has one of the most haunted places in the country. It's on TV all the time, the sanatorium. If that's available, you can go to that.
Yeah.
There's something crazy to do. Look, I'm lucky enough to be a part of this, but I wear blue jeans and Timberlands, and I'm come like a landscaper, come like a hardscaper, come like a dealer distributor, because you're indoors, you're outdoors. Bring a jacket, be prepared, get ready, enjoy yourself. Wear comfortable shoes. Where's that time to go? Look forward to seeing you this year.
I was going to say, bring snacks and a Camelback, right? A Camelback.
We'll keep you fed.
Yeah.
But get on that airplane, and if you're going to fly, plan early. Look, everybody plans this stuff kind of late. If I have the time, if we have the money, et cetera. But if you're going to fly, if you're coming, that way you get the tickets you want, the plane fees you want, the days you want. Because as it gets closer in, look, those plane seats get tougher and tougher to come by on the exact time you want them. So if you're going to fly, plan that 4 or 5 months out and get those tickets in advance.
No, I totally agree. It's something that once we have all of our prepay money, like March, April, May, and we start rocking the season with some of our larger landscape installs, we always budget. We always take a few bucks and we book those hotels, we book those tickets. It's actually pretty nominal. It's $200-300 and you're pretty much good to go. And honestly, there's a great opportunity to like room with folks and make friends. And I know a lot of people split hotels and Airbnbs now, so it's always a good time. Well, I got to say this. I got to wrap up with just saying it's a tremendous pleasure and honor to have you on the show. I really do appreciate it. I would love to, see if we can keep the conversation going. Maybe if your calendar permits, maybe we can get you back on the show. Maybe June, July, August, maybe midsummer. I know you guys are probably swiftly moving behind the scenes to lock down details, and I'm sure there's things that we could get updates on and new reveals and new updates that you guys are going to be able to share that I'm sure you can't spill all the beans just yet. So if would you be interested in being a return guest maybe this summer and we can have you on the show again?
Absolutely. Happy to do it anytime. I'll tell you who's going to be at the concert then.
Cool deal. I like it. Awesome. Well, cool deal. Well, hey, we have Kris Keiser with Expo. Super appreciate the time. If you guys need to get in contact with anybody at the show, I know a lot of their information is readily available online. I'll try to leave some stuff in the show notes as well. But Kris, appreciate you being on the show, and that's it for Fullerton Unfiltered.
Thank you, Brian. Good to be here.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.